Right then, this is a quick walk around video, and this is for a really handsome looking car. So a Honda CR-V 1.6 EX diesel, a manual car. This car's covered just 53,000 miles. There's a lovely service history attached to it as well. Fitted with some really nice options. Obviously you can see the metallic paintwork. It's also got side steps, rear spoiler, and the very sought after auto cruise control, radar cruise control with the lane departure. So a very nicely kitted out car and in very, very nice condition. Lights and lenses are clear and intact without any cracks or condensation on there. Bonnet very clean, only a odd tiny stone chip. Near side of the car, passenger side first, lovely and smooth in the panel work. There's no sort of obvious sort of car parking dinks or indentations to jump out at you. I always, when they've got the kit, I just think it looks, especially from the rear three quarters here, it just gives it a better stance than the standard car, which is still a handsome car in its own right. Coming around to the offside, the driver's side of the car, again as with the near side, very clean and smooth in the panel work, and no sort of car parking dinks there that I can see. Finally going to the front there, but it's all very clean and tidy. There will be, there always is, the odd minor mark. I mean, it's 8 years old now, that either I've missed or is on there, which I just can't see. But for the age of mileage, it's very, very nice condition. So coming to the boot area, obviously you can see electric tailgate working perfectly. Massive, massive boots in these cars. Easy fold rear seats. That's been kept very, very nicely. Coming to the back of the car now, again, all very clean. Enormous amounts of legroom, and those seats are set for me at the front, and I'm over 6 foot tall, so I'm not cheating, quite the opposite. And leather work has been kept very, very nicely, which isn't always the case with CR-Vs. Normally, you know, family use, they can be very heavily used. This one has been kept very nicely. So into the front and the passenger side, again, all very nice. Passenger seat there, not been given an awful lot of use from what I can see. Finally coming on the driver's side, again, very clean and tidy. Driver's seat again, it's held up very well for the age. So inside the car now, as always the engine's running, so the dashboard can be seen illuminated. It's in very, very nice condition again. Sat nav working exactly as intended. Pop the car into reverse there, that lovely clear gridded parking camera. The main dash binnacle, hopefully you can see, 53,331 miles, and there are no warning lights on the dashboard at all. Finally, just to show you, owner's manual pack and lock and wheel nut key all here and present with the car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda CR-V 1.6 EX diesel. Car's registered YX15WME and with a mileage of 53,333 recorded. The reason for all of our videos, as I always say, especially this road test section, is to ensure that if anyone's online looking at any of our cars, they actually get to see the very car advertising and operation. And the reason we feel it's important is simply because, like far too many people, we've been to see cars which look absolutely fine in photographs or description, only to get there and find out it's got an obvious fault that shows up when you drive it. So hence that's why we do it. Also done on these very quiet country roads in this absolutely wonderful part of Gloucestershire. This forms part of the road test route we take our customers on, and the theory being that hopefully then it'll be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car, clearly been very, very well looked after mechanically. It's obvious as soon as you drive the vehicle. Engine starts instantly, settles to a smooth, even idle. There are no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car. Temperature gauge I'll do later in the video, because I try and do the videos where possible when the engines are cold, so because obviously issues can manifest themselves at different engine temperatures, so where I can I do that. Engine is absolutely fantastic. It's a brilliant diesel engine. It's very smooth and quiet in operation. Only really obviously a diesel at very low revs or low speed, because even Honda can't engineer that out. I do apologise, it's going to get a bit glary. Hopefully it'll less so in a minute when we return. It's just it's a lovely day but slightly low sun. But the engine, obviously, twin turbo, 160 horsepower. It pulls like a train basically. The revs around about 1500 RPM, and literally just put your foot down and off it goes, but smooth, linear, but powerfully. It's wonderful. Obviously, like all Hondas, they've got a reputation for being very tough and reliable. Cam chain driven, so there's no cam belts to worry about on them either, so don't have that huge service looming at any time. Engine then feeds through into the clutch and gearbox. Clutch on the car is absolutely perfect. Bike point's exactly where it's meant to be. It's lovely and smooth in operation. Gear change. First of all, the gear lever's mounted up here, nice and high. Your hand falls naturally to it. Unlike so many cars of this type, or even in normal conventional cars, it gives you a really fantastic gear change quality. The inclination seems to be that when manufacturers sell these kind of cars, they seem to think people want a kind of truck-like driving position experience, and that sort of shows itself in the gear changes. This is the opposite. It's almost sporty. It's got a slick but short, precise clink action to it. It's absolutely brilliant, and that feels like it would have done when it was new. There's just zero wear in the linkage, or all the gear change is absolutely perfect. So coming to the steering on the car, the chassis, first and foremost, steering track's absolutely dead straight. There's no vibrations at this speed or any speed up to the legal limit, but the steering is lovely because again it seems to be, especially because most cars have electric power steering as this does, and that normally means the manufacturers again tend to give you kind of horribly overlight steering, which is fine for 0 to 5 miles an hour, but when you get up to speed it can feel vague, lifeless, so you're just not connected to the car at all. And this is incredibly easy to manoeuvre at low speeds, but it's also got a lovely kind of heft to the steering in terms of its weighting. It's just really, really nicely done. It's very confidence inspiring. It's accurate and precise. It's not, and I stress, these aren't sports cars. Even though the motoring magazines and press and videos would suggest that they should be more sporty, quite the opposite. No, of course they shouldn't. It's a family car, but what it does, it gives you the combination of a very comfortable, very well judged ride. But when you go through the corners, unlike some, it doesn't flounder about, and you tend to find with upright cars, he's determined to go my way, that they can sort of keel over. You get lots of sort of secondary motion, especially in sort of tighter corners, and there is none with the CR-V. It sets itself, it holds its attitude brilliantly well, and it actually flows the corners in a very accomplished manner, and that's particularly important for rear seat passengers who may have the head, I'd like to think, in a book, but more likely in a phone or something else, and it can be quite nauseating if you've got lots of motion going on. But as I say, these are really settled. That section of road, by the way, is akin to the surface of the moon. It's absolutely horrible. I'm listening out for any kind of rattles or clonks that shouldn't be coming from underneath the car, and there's absolutely none at all. The car drives absolutely as tight as a drum. When I get onto the main road in a second and get up to speed, I'll give the brakes a bit of a thump, just to check those. Worth pointing out, the car went through MOT yesterday without any advisories at all, so it's all in good order, we know that, but it's just nice to see it in operation. It just revs so quietly on the pickup. It really is very smooth. It gets up to speed deceptively quickly, up to 60 miles an hour now in no time at all. Right, so give the brakes a bit of a thump. Mission one's behind me. Really good brake pedal on the car. what I'm looking for is good initial bite, which it definitely has, but no kind of pulsing or vibrations again, which all absolutely spot on. Finally, coming inside the car, the first thing you always tend to notice when you get in a CR-V is, you've got fantastic visibility all around, massive wing mirrors, which obviously help with kind of lane changes, that kind of thing. So you basically jump in the car and drive and not feel intimidated by it. Dead easy to get a perfect driving position in the car as well. Obviously, you've got a multitude of equipment and adjustments for the seats. It's also got distracted. I think the chap people just wanted to warn this fella. But then you've got this wonderfully built interior. There's simply no squeaks, no rattles. Typical Honda, put together brilliantly. And this is where getting the motoring press really frustrates. They seem to think that build quality is squidgy plastics. It isn't. It's how they're bolted together and how it lasts after a long period of time. And this is where these are brilliant, because they're designed for lots of family use, and that can be quite hard on cars. But again, testament to Honda, just beautifully put together. All working perfectly. Sat nav, as you can see, nice big display, simple and easy to use. Dual zone climate control. All the switch gears, that beautifully damped actuation to it that Honda give you on all their switch gear. Air conditioning, which pumps out ice cold air, by the way. We checked it in a nice warm workshop. Heated seats, likewise, all been checked, all working. Then you've got your dash binnacle in front, which is just, again, beautifully detailed, simple, minimalist by modern standards, and all the better for it. Temperature gauge now running at a third, which is exactly where it's meant to be on a Honda car, by the way. Then you've got this lovely small diameter leather bound steering wheel, which feels great in hand and exhibits absolutely no wear at all. This does have the auto cruise control and lane keep, the lane assist, whatever they call it. It's really lovely. Just basically you've got a radar built into the cruise control, so it monitors the car in front and speeds you up and slows you down accordingly. And also it'll beep at you with you let swap lanes without indicating, or fall asleep at the wheel, which is not a bad idea. This is, by the way, a four-wheel drive version of the CR-V, because not all of them are, albeit there are no buttons to press. Honda worked out very quickly that the vast majority of their customers, when they're driving in, as I am today, in perfectly good conditions where you don't need four-wheel drive on. So basically it does it automatically. It does it via the traction control system, so if it loses grip, because it's in front-wheel drive, the most efficient way to pull a car along most of the time, it'll seamlessly bring in the rear wheels to give you four-wheel drive, and it is brilliantly effective. I always say, we've got a CR-V, we tow a caravan with ours, always have done with the multitude we've had, and we've never come close to getting stuck with it. And also, its lack of use, it gives it its inherent reliability as well. We've been selling these for, cracking me, 2 or 3 decades, and I can't remember ever putting a spanner on one in terms of the four-wheel drive system. Also, you're going to save on fuel compared to a permanent four-wheel drive system. You're not going to get through your tyres as quickly, and it puts far less mechanical stress through the vehicle, so it's kind of a win-win. As I said at the start of the video, the point, it's only brief, is just to show the car operating. I can't fault it in any way. It drives absolutely beautifully and is a stark reminder of why these are such good cars and so sought after. As always though, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate, give us a call.